In the opulent halls of the Colton estate, laughter rings like a cruel bell as Anna, once proud and dignified, faces the vicious scorn of Sophia Colton. The humble servant at the grand feast, Sophia sneers, her words slicing through the atmosphere like a knife, turning Anna's world into a spectacle of humiliation for all to see. But deep within her, a fire ignites. Will this searing pain propel her towards vengeance and reclaim her narrative? Stay with us, because in this game of social supremacy, Anna is just getting started, and the shocking twist will leave you breathless. Subscribe now to witness her transformation unfold. Amidst the oppressive silence that followed the confrontation, Anna felt a heavy weight settle in her chest, a tumultuous blend of despair and indignation. The fury of their words still echoed in her ears, a constant reminder of her humiliation at the hands of the Coltons. Each taunt hung like a storm cloud over her, but beneath that tempest stirred a newfound resolve. She realized that she could no longer remain a silent spectator in her life. It was time to infiltrate their world, cloaked in loyalty, yet strategizing for her own reclamation. In stark contrast, Richard, Anna's husband, moved through the aftermath like a ghost, his mind ensnared by work and oblivious to the caustic atmosphere enveloping their lives. He remained untouched by the intricate dynamics that poisoned the Colton family interactions, blissfully unaware of Anna's torment. As he absent-mindedly scrolled through his phone, discussing mundane matters, Anna observed him with a mixture of sorrow and frustration. The distance between them felt insurmountable, a chasm widened by their circumstances and his indifference. With every glance at Richard, her heart ached with the bittersweet sting of isolation. The laughter of the Coltons still rang in her ears, a mockery of her existence. Why was she allowing their disdain to define her? She felt the heavy shackles of their contempt tightening around her. Yet with each passing moment, Anna's anger simmered, growing stronger. Would she continue to endure their cruelty while Richard remained oblivious, caught up in his own world? Her thoughts spiraled deeper into this cruel reality. It was then that she resolved to act. Not merely to survive, but to scheme. She would slip past their defenses and observe their weaknesses from within, using her position under the pretense of loyalty as a cover. The silent preparations began, with every charming smile exchanged at social gatherings and every laugh faked among them. She would gather fragments of their truth. Each interaction would strategically amplify her strength, turning their ignorance into her weapon. Then, as destiny would have it, while mingling discreetly in the corners of a lavish dinner party, she caught sight of a pair of Colton cousins whispering in hushed tones. Curiosity piqued. Anna leaned closer, her heart racing. They were exchanging furtive glances, casting sidelong looks toward the family portrait looming above them, a sinister image of unity and peace. A single sentence drifted through the air, fragmented but sharp, slicing through the noise around her. "You didn't hear about the deal with the estate? If they find out, it could change everything." An electric tingle shot down Anna's spine as the implications of those words washed over her. Was there a chink in their gilded armor? A secret that could unravel them entirely? As she edged back, heart pounding in her chest, she knew that she had to uncover this revelation and exploit it. The stakes had shifted dramatically. The very foundation of her mission now trembled with the thrilling possibility of control. With the pieces of her strategy forming a clearer picture in her mind, Anna felt the fire of determination igniting within her. She would no longer be a victim of their mockery or indifference. Armed with the potential of family secrets that lay hidden beneath layers of affluence and arrogance, she prepared to step fully into their world, daring to take what they had tried to strip away. Her dignity and sense of self away. Her dignity and sense of self. How far would she go to reclaim her place, unearthing everything that stood in her way? The answer awaited her on the edge of the unknown. Anna moved through the opulent halls of the Colton estate with a calculated grace, each step purposeful as she maneuvered through the intricate web of the family's vulnerabilities. With every elegant nod and polite laugh, she gleaned insights, peeling back layers of the Colton's facade. The shimmering chandeliers above cast a soft light on her determined expression, a blend of poise and silent fury that simmered beneath her exterior. At her first encounter with Eleanor, the family matriarch, Anna feigned an interested listener, nodding at Eleanor's eloquent talk about grandchild's achievements. But within those polished responses lay a keen observation of the maternal pride, clashing with a subtle air of desperation. "You must feel so lucky," Anna remarked sweetly, tilting her head as she watched Eleanor's tightly controlled smile falter for a brief second. Sensing a fracture in that perfect image, Anna marked it. Underneath Eleanor's polished demeanor lay an unmet need for connection that could be exploited. Next, Anna caught Richard alone in the study, his eyes glued to his phone, oblivious to the growing distance between them. "Richard," she began, her voice carefully cheery, "I thought we could talk about my project this weekend," he scoffed, cutting her off, his gaze still buried in the screen. "Is that what you're still focusing on? Your little passion project? It seems trivial compared to what's happening here." His dismissive tone stung, but Anna's facade never wavered. "It's not trivial to me," she replied, her heart racing with indignation as she forced a smile. "It's my pursuit of something meaningful." Richard's dark-eyed glance finally met hers, thick with condescension. "Meaningful? You wish to chase dreams while I'm balancing this family's reputation. Think about that." The air thickened with tension, a rift widening between the ambitions she yearned to explore and the restrictive chains of his expectations. Anna swallowed hard, her resolve strengthening. His disdain for her pursuits felt not just like a personal insult, but a reminder of her long-forgotten dreams, stirring the embers of her vengeance anew. As she moved through the gathering, she noticed Sophia engrossed in an animated conversation with a tall, handsome man in a fitted tuxedo. Something about the way she leaned into him caught Anna's attention, igniting a flicker of intrigue. Was the statuette of wealth and privilege also hiding secrets? She approached, joining the laughter, yet her keen gaze fell on the mutual glances Sophia exchanged with her companion. The facade of the golden girl began to slip, revealing a flicker of desperation behind the polished exterior. Later that night, during a sip of expensive wine, Anna positioned herself near the dining table, where family discussions unfolded like a well-rehearsed play. Each member's dialogue became a window, revealing cracks in their elegant lives. She caught whispers of Richard and the looming partnership with a questionable financier. The tones hinted at more than just business. Each word seemed heavy with unspoken truths. Anna's mind whirled as she catalogued their vulnerabilities, recognizing that power lay in knowing the hypocrisies surrounding her. The evening progressed, and Anna felt the weight of their secrets pressing down like a heavy mantle on her shoulders. She needed to strike when the time was right, a guiding principle overshadowed by the personal turmoil raging within her, a cocktail of anger and ambition. The night concluded with laughter, echoing through the Colton halls. But for Anna, the ambience felt charged. There was more to explore, and with every interaction she drew closer to the heart of the Coltons' deceit. The pieces of her revenge plan were falling into place, each moment a strategic move in her grand design. With the sight of troubled family dynamics before her eyes, Anna felt the tides turning. What happens when the hunted becomes the hunter? The question hung heavily in her mind as she left that night, the last echoes of the Colton laughter ringing hollow in her ears. With conviction brewing within her, Anna was not just stepping into their world, she was preparing to own it. Her next encounter would prove pivotal, the threshold crossing from subtle observation to direct impact. As the nighttime coolness settled around her, she swore to weave a net of deception through their seemingly perfect lives, where each smile would mask her growing resolve, each laugh hiding the truth of her intentions. The Coltons had no idea what was lurking behind Anna's determined exterior, a fire ignited by the past and ready to dismantle their world. The time for revenge was drawing near, and she was done waiting. In the shadowed corners of the Colton estate, where polished marble met gilded chandeliers, Anna forged an unlikely alliance that would alter her course dramatically. Lucas, the family chauffeur, was a constant presence, moving seamlessly through the grand halls, yet he remained largely invisible to the Coltons, overshadowed by their arrogance. He wore a crisp uniform, but behind his professional demeanor lay eyes that sparkled with understanding and support, a mirror to Anna's own unvoiced suffering. Their encounters began as fleeting interactions. Lucas would assist Anna in and out of the elaborate gatherings, offering a subtle nod of recognition, a quiet acknowledgement of shared isolation amid the Coltons' opulence. Over whispered exchanges in dimly lit corners, Anna slowly revealed the depth of her humiliation and her newfound desire for revenge. Lucas listened intently, his brow furrowing with concern. He understood the burn of disdain. He had faced it daily, serving a family that flaunted their wealth, blind to the burdens carried by those who lived in their shadow. "Anna," he said, his voice low and steady one evening, as they stood just out of sight from the frivolous guests indulging in champagne. "I have seen things you wouldn't believe. The Coltons are not the flawless family they pretend to be. And you are not alone in this fight." His words ignited a spark within her, fanning the flames of her determination. They were kindred spirits, both overlooked and underestimated, bound by the shared experience of ridicule. Lucas's loyalty rang clear, and Anna realized that momentum was beginning to build. With their unique perspectives and access to different parts of the Coltons' empire, they could dismantle the layers of pretense surrounding the family. Together, they began to dig deeper, uncovering the threads of deceit that wove the Colton family tapestry. Late nights were spent poring over financial statements and hidden communications, their breaths holding the weight of unspoken conspiracies. With every revelation, the stakes amplified. A twisted web of corruption and greed that dominated their lives came to light. Days turned to weeks as they collaborated, and the air between them buzzed with an unspoken understanding. They were more than allies. They were friends, united by a common goal. Yet, with every shred of evidence they unearthed, the sensation of danger loomed closer, tangling around them like a noose. "We have to be careful," Anna warned one evening, as they reviewed a file that hinted at illegal dealings tied to the Colton estate. "If they catch wind of what we are doing, it could ruin everything before we even expose the truth or take back what is yours. We cannot live in fear forever, Anna. Not when we have this power." His unwavering conviction pierced through her lingering hesitation. Lucas was right. Anna felt the fire of ambition rising within her, a blend of vengeance and rightful reclaiming of dignity. As uncomfortable as it was, she had to confront the reality of their mission. With each secret they uncovered, she also discovered a deeper motivation coursing through her veins. It wasn't merely revenge against the Coltons. It was a reclamation of her identity. In that moment, surrounded by files that could shatter the Colton facade, Anna realized just how personal her stakes had become. The once quiet servant, thrust into a world of scorn and derision, was on the cusp of transformation. She was no longer just a victim. She was a force determined to reclaim her power and bring down the very family that had plotted to keep her beneath their boots. "Let's see how strong the Coltons really are," she murmured, her voice strong and resolute, a newfound fierce energy resonating within her. Their mission had transcended revenge. It had become a journey of self-discovery and a quest to unearth a hidden strength she never knew existed. As they gathered their findings, a shared understanding enveloped them, sealing an unbreakable bond. This unexpected partnership, born of shared scars and aspirations, would reveal just how far they were willing to go to expose the Coltons' deceit and uncover secrets that lay hidden behind gilded doors. As the glittering evening approached, excitement coursed through Anna's veins like a double-edged sword. She stood at a precipice, feeling the rush of anticipation mingled with a haunting determination. The Colton Charity Gala, an opulent affair that promised both admiration and scrutiny, was more than just a lavish gathering. For Anna, it was the ultimate stage for revelation, a chance to reclaim her narrative in front of the very family that had wronged her. In the grand ballroom, chandeliers hung low like constellations, showering the guests with shimmering light. Laughter and music flowed, creating a symphony of affluence that hung in the air, as buoyant as the gowns and tuxedos that adorned the attendees. But beneath the glamorous surface, Anna's heart raced in response to the brewing storm within. Tonight, she would unveil truths that had lurked in the shadows of the Colton estate, and the thrill of what she would accomplish quickened her pulse. Yet a layer of chill seeped in with every step toward the gilded doors of the Colton mansion. Anna could almost hear Sophia's laughter echoing in her mind, taunting her, yet her resolve held firm. This was her moment, a culmination of silent strength and relentless planning, and no mocking remark could shake the poise she carefully cultivated. As Anna glided through the crowd, she reveled in her own transformation. Once a mere fixture assigned to the backdrop of their lives, she was now a force of intention, ready to expose the facade of wealth and privilege before the world. Each interaction felt calculated, a performance orchestrated to draw attention away from the truth she harbored close, waiting for the right moment to unleash it. And then there was Sophia. On the opposite end of the room, she shimmered like a jewel, surrounded by adoring guests who documented her every move on their devices. The Golden Girl, still wearing the icy veneer of superiority, presented a sharp contrast to Anna's newfound resolve. Their eyes met briefly, and in that fleeting moment, Anna felt the weight of all her humiliation in the past. But this time, it was different. The flutter in her chest was no longer fear. It was a premonition of vindication. As the evening progressed, Anna maneuvered closer to Sophia, summoning her courage with each step. The moment arrived with a sharp intake of breath, one that trimmed the air thick with expectation. There they stood, face to face, surrounded by a swirl of laughter and oblivion. "So, the humble servant has decided to show her face among us elite?" Sophia quipped, her voice dripping with the venom of years past. Feigned amusement flickered across Anna's features, though inside, a tempest raged. "Funny how you call me humble when your empire stands on the temple of deceit," she shot back, the words leaving her lips with a newfound courage that surprised even her. A ripple of confusion perked up around them as some guests paused to eavesdrop, the unspoken tension crackling between the women. Sophia's expression slipped momentarily, revealing a crack in her carefully polished facade. But Anna wasn't finished. She leaned in closer, her voice a mere whisper despite the orchestra of sounds surrounding them. "You don't even know what I know about your family." Tension gripped the atmosphere, a collective intake of breath, as lingering actors of wealth began to sense the shift. The eyes of the social elite slowly turned, drawn to the confrontation, brewing like a summer storm. In that charged silence, Anna reached into her clutch, her fingers brushing against the cold edges of the documents she had so meticulously gathered. Proof of the Coltons' financial misdeeds lay just beneath the surface. She could almost feel the pulse of those who had belittled her for years, their power waning as her confidence surged. The clock ticked ominously, and Anna marveled at how her heart thrummed steady and strong. "Tonight, I'm no longer just the help, Sophia. Tonight, I reclaim my story." Her words slashed through the air, the challenge impossible to ignore. But before she could reveal the proof that would shatter the very core of Sophia's world, a sense of anticipation filled the room. Whispers and gasps rippled through the guests, a prelude to the unfolding drama. As tensions electrified the atmosphere, Anna concealed her anticipation behind her calm demeanor. "Just remember, in a game of secrets, every player has a reflecting truth." What response awaited her, not even she could predict, but the stakes had been raised. In that moment, as Anna stood amidst the crowds, decisions cloaked in secrecy surrounded her, promising a night that would indelibly alter her fate. Tonight, a torrent of revelations awaited, both for her and the Coltons. Would the truth serve as her triumph, or would it shatter her in the process? The gala had transformed from a mere charity event into a battleground for emotions and secrets, and Anna was ready to reveal her final move. But would the glamorous world built on deception survive the unveiling? As the night unfolded in the grand ballroom of the Colton estate, a glamorous celebration turned frenetic under the weight of unexpected revelations. Anna stood in the eye of the storm, observing as the once joyous laughter faded into an uneasy buzz that reverberated through the opulent hall. Suddenly, the air thickened with tension as the gala descended into chaos. The sleek, polished surfaces of the ballroom transformed into the battlefield of headlines. Reporters, swarming like bees to an uncovered hive, had invaded the sanctuary of wealth and privilege. Cameras flashed like lightning bolts, capturing the frantic expressions on the faces of the Colton family. It was a spectacle of disaster. Wealthy patrons gasping in disbelief, the sound of high heels clattering against marble floors, a crescendo of panic and confusion that swept through the elegantly adorned crowd. "Is it true?" a reporter shouted, his voice slicing through the noise. "What are the financial discrepancies? Allegations of corruption?" The onslaught of questions didn't relent, each one magnifying the unfolding disaster, spiraling the Colton family deeper into public scrutiny. Society's elite, now exposed under the glaring lights of truth, were no longer untouchable. They were fragile, vulnerable, and collapsing in real time. Yet, amidst the uproar, Anna stood firm, her heart racing not in fear but in exhilaration. Gone was the humiliated servant who had once found herself disparaged and dismissed. No longer did she wear the weight of sarcasm and malice against her spirit. Instead, poised and unyielding, Anna embraced the moment as a powerful exclamation of her transformation. While their empire shook around her, she exuded a calm strength, relishing every second of the disarray she had orchestrated. With each new revelation brought forth by the reporters, Anna's resolve surged. She had been flung into the depths of their world, not to simply endure their cruelty, but to dismantle it with meticulous precision. The air thrummed with palpable energy, a chaotic symphony of despair around her, while Anna contemplated the essence of her own metamorphosis. Was this how it felt to reclaim control? As the cacophony reached its zenith, Anna caught sight of Richard, struggling to maintain his fragmented composure amidst the chaos. His polished demeanor seemed to crack like delicate porcelain under the pressure, each pointed question from journalists further unraveling his authority. The man who had once shielded her with the airs of superiority now stood exposed, a waning giant in a room fueled by the flames of public scrutiny. With unwavering determination, Anna stepped forward, crossing the divide that had once separated them both emotionally and socially. With every step, the battlefield welcomed her not as a mere participant, but as an unstoppable force. The murmurs of the crowd faded as she focused solely on Richard, the husband, the protector, the man who so often imposed his vision of life upon her. "I believe it's time we had a conversation," she said, her voice steady and confident, cutting through the disorienting chaos with surgical precision. Richard met her gaze, his expression shifting from disbelief to something far more defensive, his facade crumbling at the edges. "Anna, this isn't the time," he pleaded, a hint of desperation lacing his tone as he attempted to wrestle back control over the spiraling chaos surrounding them. Ignoring the relentless inquiries echoing around them, Anna took a step closer, her heart thrumming loud in her chest. "It absolutely is the time. You've lived in the shadow of your family's arrogance long enough. You have no idea the depths of their betrayals, nor the lengths to which I've gone to uncover the truth." Around them, the noise muddled into a blur, a sea of reporters and party guests caught in a web of sensationalism. But Anna remained undeterred, anchored by her revelations and the strength she derived from them. This confrontation was not merely about exposing Richard. It was about unveiling the very truths that had shaped her relentless pursuit of justice. "Tonight isn't just about the Coltons," she continued, her voice rising above the din. "It's about reclaiming my narrative. It's about standing up to the men who have sought to smother my voice at every turn." The crowd shifted, eyes darting towards them, magnetized by the rising conflict between the couple. A brewing storm of emotions, history, and stakes that felt impossibly intimate. With a deep breath, Anna steadied herself, aware that the outcome of this encounter would reverberate through the remnants of what had once been their life together. She held the power now, and the joy of that realization illuminated the darkest corners of her journey. Richard's attempts to salvage his diminishing authority began to feel futile. The tables had turned, as Anna prepared to shatter Richard's remaining composure with the truths she had unearthed, the family secrets that tangled their lives together. A tumultuous question loomed overhead. What revelations awaited her within their fractured relationship? The anticipation sizzled in the air, crackling with tension, urging the audience to lean forward, eager to discover the fate of this pivotal confrontation. As the chaos of the gala enveloped them, Anna felt the stirrings of a storm brewing within her. She had toyed with the idea of confronting Richard for far too long, the familiar weight of his indifference suffocating her spirit. Now, as the world around them disintegrated into a frenzy of accusations and gossip, she seized the moment, determined to reclaim her power. She called, her voice cutting through the noise with a sharp clarity. He glanced at her, his expression twisting from shock to apprehension, the facade of confidence slipping like water through his fingers. Anna met his gaze, the steel of her resolve sparking in her eyes. "We need to talk." She led him away from the prying eyes of the guests, and behind an ornate column shrouded in shadows, a sudden stillness cloaked their encounter, amplifying the tension winding between them. Richard crossed his arms, an instinctive posture of defense, desperately trying to salvage the air of authority he had clung to for so long. Is this really the best time for this? He questioned, his tone laced with irritation. Oh, I think it's the perfect time, Anna replied, a calmness enveloping her. You should know that I'm done being your obedient little wife. The tremor in her voice belied her certainty, and she felt a rush of exhilaration. It's embarrassing, really, how you've convinced yourself that your social standing somehow defines our relationship. Anna, you don't understand the complexities of this situation, Richard countered. But she could hear the tremor behind his bravado, the cracks beginning to show in his carefully crafted facade. Complexities? Or is it that you just can't stand to see me break free from the chains your family placed around me? Anna's words pierced the air, their intensity momentarily silencing the chaos within. She felt liberated in stripping away Richard's layers of false superiority, peeling back his insecurities to expose the frail man beneath. The moments stretched as they stood locked in this unyielding gaze. Richard struggled under the weight of her confrontation, his eyes darting as if searching for a way to reclaim the control he sensed slipping through his grasp. You don't know what it's like to hold this family together, he insisted, his desperation seeping into his words, every syllable a plea for validation. You think you're stronger than me? You're mistaken. This time. Anna let her laughter ring out. Sharp, unyielding, stronger? Maybe. But your strength comes from basic status and false confidence, Richard. Mine comes from reclaiming my narrative. The irony hung thick in the air. He had always wielded his power to overshadow her, but the roles had reversed, and it thrilled her to feel that transformation. A narrative, perhaps, tangled up in humiliation and betrayal, she continued, voice steady as she advanced one step closer. What will you hold on to when the dust settles? Your reputation? Or will you finally confront the reality of our relationship? She saw the flicker of vulnerability flash across his features, the hurt buried beneath layers of pride. This is about more than just us, Anna. It's about our lives. My work, my family. His words trailed off, swallowed by the weight of her unwavering stance. No longer was he the omnipresent figure in her life. She had taken the reins. Drawing in a deep breath, Anna leaned in, her voice low but imbued with conviction. There's a difference between dominance and partnership, Richard. I've lived too long in your shadow, letting our lives be dictated by your career and your family's expectations. The finality in her words hung in the air like an invisible weight, suffocating his attempts to reassert his influence. You are throwing everything away, he said, the desperation resonating with each syllable. Everything we built together was built on the cage you created for me, a cage I refuse to live in any longer. Her voice swelled with power, drowning out the echoes of the gala crashing around them. For too long she had stood subjected to his doctrines of success, tethered to his visions. And now the reality was unfurling before her. Richard's shoulders sagged, the fight draining from him as defeat painted his expression. Anna felt a wave of sorrow wash over her, a stark contrast to the liberating surge within. She had loved him once, longing for the hopes they had shared. But now she stood resolute, determined to detach herself from the chains that had constrained her for far too long. I am choosing independence. I no longer need you to define me, she declared, the quiet strength of her voice echoing with finality. And as painful as it is, this is how our story concludes. Richard's retreating posture conveyed a man stripped of his power, revealing the emotional swell of failure. The final threads of their relationship unraveled with agonizing cadence, and Anna felt the impending liberation emerge from the usurped shadow. She exhaled deeply, letting the bittersweet moment wash over her. It was time to let go, time to embrace the radiant independence she had forged from the fire of her past. As she stepped back, leaving Richard behind, Anna felt the weight of sorrow dissipate, making room for something new. Confidence blooming like a flower in the fragile aftermath of a turbulent storm. This wasn't just a confrontation. It was a reclamation of her identity, a declaration of freedom she had long pursued. With every step away, she grasped her narrative, firm in the belief that she had not only cut the tether to Richard, but also emerged whole from the ashes of their relationship. The path ahead would not be without its challenges, but no longer would fear guide her. Anna was ready to embrace her autonomy, ready to step into a future painted bold with possibilities, irrevocably transformed. Tension built up, resonated throughout their exchange, leaving viewers at the edge of their seats, hearts racing, as they witnessed the crumbling barriers of Richard's dominance against Anna's newfound strength. As her resolve strengthened, layers of Anna's character unfurled, her desire for independence illuminating the darkness of her previous existence. Question remained: what cost did her freedom demand? As Richard faded into memory, leaving behind remnants of their shared history, the possibilities stretched forth like an open road beckoning her forward. In the wake of revelations that shook the Coltons to their very core, the once glittering facade of their life began to crumble. News of their corruption spread like wildfire, cloaking the family in a shroud of disgrace that echoed through the marble halls of the estate. Gone were the days of privileged laughter and carefree soirees. Now, hushed whispers and pointed fingers replaced the jubilant atmosphere. Sophia, the beloved golden girl of the family, was reduced to a mere shadow of her former self. The public, eager for a spectacle, had rallied against her, their scorn palpable in every headline. Once a queen among her peers, now she walked through the wilted garden of her family home like a ghost, her vibrant gowns traded for muted shades that mirrored the life drained from her spirit. Anxiety twisted in her stomach, a constant reminder of the power she had wielded, and the vulnerability she now felt. Every interaction echoed with betrayal, leaving Sophia consumed by a gnawing loneliness. Friends who once adored her now turned away, fearful of being associated with scandal. The brilliant smile that once adorned her face, even when tinged with mockery, now felt permanently faded. As she gazed out over the expanse of her family's estate, reality pressed down upon her. The wealth that had insulated her from the trials of the world was now the very chains that bound her to shame and regret. Across the estate, Eleanor, the matriarch, wore the visible weight of sorrow etched onto her features. The once proud woman now stood among the ruins of her legacy, spiraling deeper into her emotional turmoil. Each legal document, the summons, the accusations, served as reminders of her failure as a mother and protector, showing her the worst of her family. The guilt intertwined itself around her heart like a noose, constricting with every passing day as she replayed the circumstances that had led them here. How could they have let ambition outweigh integrity? Each unresolved accusation, every grim revelation the press aired, carved deeper lines onto Eleanor's brow. She had clung to control forever, but now, the very thought of stepping outside her home filled her with dread. She could no longer hide behind the exterior of wealth. Instead, she faced the consequences of choices made in the name of success. In that moment of overwhelming despair, she was left grappling with an unsettling truth. Her family's downfall was intertwined with her own. "Eleanor," a voice broke through her morose reflection. Lucas stood at the entryway, watching her with pity and compassion. "You have to speak to them." As she looked at him, Eleanor felt the helplessness sink into her bones like cold steel. "What can I say?" she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. "How do I soothe such wounds? They've lost everything." "I know," he replied, stepping closer. "But it's how you decide to confront this that matters. There's an opportunity here. To own your part. To acknowledge what went wrong. You may still heal. You may still find a path forward." His gentle encouragement wrapped around her heart, and Eleanor pondered the painful journey that lay ahead. Would vulnerability rip apart what little remained of her family? Or could it serve as the foundation of a renewal? Meanwhile, Anna watched it all unfold from the periphery. It was hard to contemplate the depth of what revenge had wrought. The Coltons now floundered in their own sea of despair. As each family member reeled from the legal implications of their actions, Anna felt a multitude of emotions twisting within her. Elation dancing with an unexpected empathy. What cost had her victory demanded? Amidst the chaos, the bitterness of retribution started to sour. As the bitterness began to fade, a question loomed ominously over her. Was revenge truly synonymous with justice? Anna wondered if the triumph she thought she sought would ultimately be measured by the emptiness left behind, not just for the Coltons, but for herself as well. Gathering her thoughts, Anna stood at the edge of the garden, feeling a chill in the night air, the distant sound of anguished voices echoing from within the estate. There was no denying the shift in power dynamics. She had emerged victorious against the Coltons. Yet the haunting thought of what had been lost echoed in the silence that enveloped the once vibrant home. As the questions spilled through her mind, she pondered the complexities of vengeance and the volatile aftermath. Was there a chance for redemption in Sophia's heart? Was Eleanor's guilt a signal for deeper truths waiting to surface? A narrative shift written across the scars of betrayal. The thrill of her accomplished revenge began to feel fragile. A victory in name, but perhaps not in essence. With that uncertainty lingering around her, Anna realized she was standing at a precipice, caught between the thrill of triumph and the unsettling feeling of hollowness that accompanied it. The true cost of revenge danced beyond her grasp, casting a shadow on her sense of victory. And she knew it was time to confront the deeper truths hidden within her heart. As that chilling question settled within her, Anna resolved to navigate wherever this winding path might lead. Determined to uncover the complexities of her own desires amidst the collapsed empire of the Coltons. Would she dig deeper into the moral ambiguity of her choices? Or would the embers of vengeance spark anew? How would she reconcile the lessons learned from these harrowing encounters? Those answers lay ahead, dark and uncertain, just like the future that awaited her beyond the estate's borders. In the dim light of the now quiet Colton estate, Anna found herself navigating the untidy remnants of a past she thought she could leave behind. Long after the extravagant party had dissipated, and the echoes of laughter faded into awkward whispers, Anna lingered in the ornate library where she often sought refuge. Shelves lined with leather-bound books and lavish decorations surrounded her. Yet it was the air of secrecy that beckoned. As she wandered through the familiar space, a glimmer of curiosity drew her to a dusty side table, half hidden behind a cascading curtain. Beneath the flicker of candlelight, an envelope caught her eye. Its tattered edges and yellowing paper screamed neglect, and the delicate swoops of handwriting, elegant yet shaky, suggested it held a weight far beyond its fragile appearance. Anna's heart raced as she reached out, fingers trembling slightly at the unknown secrets waiting to be uncovered. She knew she should turn away, that delving into the affairs of the Coltons could unveil uncomfortable truths, but the allure of revelation tugged insistently at her. With uncertain resolve, she grasped the envelope and pulled it closer. As she eased it open, the faint aroma of aged parchment filled her senses, wrapping her in nostalgia. The words inside flowed like a forgotten song, revealing a letter penned by Eleanor, tearing open the fabric of Anna's understanding of her own lineage. The ink told a story of betrayals and choices, of how paths intertwined in ways Anna had never fathomed. Details of a family connection forged long before she had ever graced the estate in her current capacity. With each delicate word, her breath quickened. "Anna, my dear," it began, "you carry the weight of our secrets. Secrets that could change everything." The letter unfolded a history of hidden alliances and long-abandoned friendships, tales that wove through generations, reaching back to her own family's legacy in ways she had never anticipated. As Anna read on, disbelief flooded her mind. Eleanor's words cascaded like a waterfall of unexpected revelations. It spoke of shared bloodlines, of ties to the Coltons that danced dangerously close to her own family tree. The irony stung bitterly. Here she was, battling against the very family that, unbeknownst to her, had roots tangled deeply into the soil of her existence. It was a painful reminder that in her fight for control and autonomy, she had stumbled upon an unsettling truth about her own heritage. The dilemma gnawed at her, a tumultuous mix of anger and confusion intertwined with feelings of betrayal. How could she channel her thirst for revenge against a family now tied to her in ways she could barely comprehend? The shadows of her past appeared inseparable from the very foundation of the Colton empire she sought to dismantle. Was she merely fighting against her own blood? The thrill of plotting against them began to dissolve into murk, leaving a void filled with deeper questions. As the candle flickered, illuminating the letter's soft lines of script, Anna's heart raced with dread and anticipation at the revelations it heralded. Her journey had been one of defiance, an attempt to reclaim agency taken from her by the Coltons. Yet now the landscape shifted. What did this mean for her mission? Confronting Eleanor about the truths outlined in the letter seemed inevitable, but was she prepared for what that confrontation might unleash? Anna's pulse thumped in her ears, echoing the ticking clock draped across the room. A reminder that time was slipping away. She resolved to confront Eleanor, to question the woman she had so vigorously deemed the enemy, armed with the very knowledge that could shift allegiances and unravel everything she thought she understood about herself and her purpose. With the letter clutched tightly in hand, Anna felt the weight of destiny looming large. Would discovering her true heritage compel her to pause her quest for vengeance? Or would it fuel her drive to reassert her identity against a backdrop of heart-wrenching revelations? The stakes had never felt higher, and as Anna stood at a precipice of confrontation, she braced herself for the upheaval awaiting her in the uncharted territory of her familial past. The irony of her situation resonated painfully. Having fought so fiercely to sever ties with the Coltons, she now found herself grappling with an unsettling truth that intertwined their lives in ways she had not foreseen. The boundaries of her quest blurred as emotional conflicts surged, leaving her adrift in a tempest of loyalty, betrayal, and the quest for self-actualization. Will Anna's quest for vengeance stand firm against the tide of her past? Or could the family bonds that had evaded her unravel her ambition? With uncertainty heavy in the air, Anna inhaled deeply, prepared to confront the very woman whose legacy had pulled at the roots of her existence. The letter lay like a lightning rod in her grasp, igniting a confrontation that could reshape everything. As she took her first step toward Eleanor, the choice loomed ahead, filled with consequences she could scarcely begin to fathom. The atmosphere in the library felt electric, charged by the weight of unspoken secrets and thunderous emotions. Anna stood before Eleanor, the matriarch of the Colton family, whose very fabric had woven the complex tapestry of Anna's own existence. The dim light from the ornate candelabra cast flickering shadows across Eleanor's dignified yet weary face, revealing the lines etched by years of pretense and regret. This confrontation had been a long time coming, and within it lay the power to unearth truths buried deep beneath layers of pride. "Why didn't you tell me?" Anna's voice trembled with a mixture of anger and confusion, the words spilling from her lips like a molten stream of molten lava. The letter, Eleanor's handwritten confession, dangled between them, a physical representation of the past, now laid bare in all its haunting glory. Eleanor's gaze remained fixed on the floor, a storm of emotion swirling behind her eyes. "Anna," she began, her tone laced with weariness. Her failure to meet Anna's eyes felt like an admission of guilt, one that resonated in the space between them. "I didn't know how to tell you. I never wanted you to bear the weight of these truths. Our families have been entwined for generations, rooted in choices that were made long before either of us existed." The gravity of Eleanor's words hung in the air, suffocating in its implication. Anna's heart thudded in her chest, feeling the push and pull of conflicting loyalties. She had sought revenge against those who had wronged her, but now she faced a woman who crumbled beneath her own sins. "You think that justifying your silence erases the years of disdain I faced because of who you are? Every taunt from Sophia was a reflection of your family's arrogance," Anna countered bitterly, her voice trembling with fury. Eleanor flinched at the weight of Anna's words, her shoulders slumping under the crushing pressure of old wounds that refused to heal. "I know," she whispered, each syllable dropping like a pebble into still water, sending ripples of remorse across the fragile surface of their relationship. "I have seen the way they treated you, and it shattered me to know my family can wield that much power over you. But I did what I thought was best, to maintain the peace, to shield you from the truth." Anna shook her head, the pain coiling tighter in her gut. "You'd call that peace? Remaining silent while I lived in the shadows of their superiority. Your silence hampered my ability to rise above it all. I wanted to be free, Eleanor. You took that chance away from me." Each word churned with the bitterness of envy, the haunting ache of betrayal echoing through her veins. "What was I supposed to do?" Eleanor's voice rose, filled with desperation and regret. "You don't understand the position I was in. How? I had to protect our legacy, to keep the family united. It was never personal against you, I promise." This plea reverberated through the library, laced with a sincerity that felt unsettling, twisting the knife of guilt deeper within Anna's heart. "I was collateral damage, drilled into a fantasy your family wove around their privilege and power." Anna stepped closer, narrowing the space between them until she could see the tear shimmering on Eleanor's cheek, so out of place in their opulent surroundings. "And now? Now our stories are intertwined in ways I never could have imagined. Are we not just echoes of the past, bound by familial duty, only to feel this pain together? Eleanor's expression shifted, the regret in her eyes morphing into something else. Resignation interlaced with a glimmer of hope. Anna, I must own my mistakes. I can't change what has happened, but I can help you embrace who you are meant to be. We share more than enmity. We share a lineage, battles fought under the same banner. Under whose banner, Eleanor? Anna interrupted fiercely, the urgency rising from the depth of her being. The Colton banner? One that signified exclusion and belittlement? No, I will not be marked by those who sought to chain me to their narratives and beliefs. The silence that followed was thick with the aftermath of raw emotion. Eleanor, once a formidable figure commanding attention in every room, now appeared small, vulnerable, stripped of her defenses as she grapples with the fallout of her actions, the weight of her lineage. Her attempts to shield her family from the truth hung heavy upon her. Then help me rewrite those narratives. Eleanor spoke at last, her voice steady but gentle, like the first daffodils braving the chill of early spring. We can craft a new story together, one that acknowledges our faults and finds a path to redemption. You have the power to shatter their facade. Don't squander it on endless revenge. But as Anna stood there, the words struck chords anew within her heart. Each revelation from Eleanor unearthed memories of her own wounds. Battles fought by those who had paved the path to her existence. Could they unite to reclaim their narrative? The spirals of vengeance she had clutched so tightly began to falter, turning into a challenge of deep introspection. Anna found herself torn. Was vengeance the weapon she wanted to wield, or could it transform into something more? In this moment of vulnerability shared between them, she realized that the ghosts of their circumstances were intricately intertwined. How many souls had suffered beneath the weight of the Colton legacy? How many dreams dashed against the rocks of their ambition? As she took a step back, Anna felt the tide turning within. The empowerment she once felt from revenge began to soften into the cold light of reflection. She too had amassed a weighty burden. The sweet taste of revenge interlaced with the bitter roots of her own heartache. Each revelation pointed softly to a new dawn, instead of a destructive nightfall, inviting her to reassess the role she had chosen. With steeled determination, Anna faced Eleanor, empowering herself with every ounce of clarity gleaming in her heart's newfound resolve. I won't forget the pain, but I refuse to let it dictate the rest of my life. From here on, I reclaim my narrative. We may share blood, Eleanor, but the path we walk together will not be dictated by past betrayals. The corners of Eleanor's mouth tightened as the breach between them glimmered with fragile hope. Then let us walk this path together, she whispered. And somewhere deep within, Anna felt the remnants of guilt fading into an emerging strength. In that moment, Anna embraced both the pain and the possibility born from this confrontation. She stood on the brink of something momentous, an emotional tide that could alter not just her future, but that of the Coltons as well. The battle for vengeance had morphed into an exploration of redemption, and what lay ahead became blurred with uncertainty and promise. As they stood there, two women bound by conflict yet firmly rooted in love, Anna could feel the true weight of her decisions unfurling like delicate petals. The hunger for revenge still simmered beneath the surface, but with it also blossomed the possibility of forgiveness and understanding. Anna left the library that night, not as the revenge-seeking fighter, but as a woman resolutely determined to carve out her identity from the remnants of familial chaos, a journey she no longer saw as burdened by vengeance, but rather illuminated by the promise of a reclaimed narrative. Forever changed, yet undeniably empowered, the emotional costs of her journey lingered, but they only shaded the vibrancy of her renewal. As the candles flickered softly, illuminating the path before her, Anna resolved to march ahead with the knowledge that her journey had begun anew. A multifaceted journey woven with threads of betrayal and hope, revenge and redemption. With each step forward, she expressed her commitment not just to herself, but to the legacy she dared to redefine. The haunting echoes of vengeance began to fade, replaced by the powerful heartbeat of a woman on the brink of transformation. In the wake of the tumultuous events that dismantled the Colton legacy, Anna found herself emerging from the chaos as a woman transformed. graced with resilience and renewed purpose. Her past, once defined solely by their contemptuous ridicule, now felt like a hollow echo, fading into the background as she faced the horizon of her future. Standing at the precipice of possibility, uncertainty swirled within her, a tangle of emotions woven with the threads of her hard-won revelations. The sunlight poured into her small but bright kitchen, illuminating the countless memories that now danced along the walls. The displacement from the Colton estate and the remnants of their endless expectations felt liberating. But as she brewed her morning coffee, introspection crept in like the early morning fog, settling on the landscape. Soundless moments of reflection pushed forth an urgent question. Who was she beyond the scars of vengeful pursuits? As Anna leaned against the counter, the comforting aroma enveloping her like a warm embrace, she felt the weight of her journey pulling at her thoughts. It was a journey divorced from simple retribution, choosing instead the complexity of redefining her identity. A resistance against the very status quo that had once confined her to the shadows of the Colton family. A flicker of determination ignited within, urging her to step boldly toward the narrative she longed to create. It was then that Lucas entered her mind, a key player in this unfolding story of emergence. Their bond, born of shared suffering and courage, had blossomed into something more than mere alliance. It had elongated into a friendship filled with genuine support and camaraderie. As Anna reflected on their late-night conversations, unveiling the truths of the Coltons in hushed whispers, she felt a powerful urge to reach out. "Lucas," she mused aloud, her voice almost a whisper, "what if we became the architects of our own lives?" The thought lingered, framing a vision of independence that hung tantalizingly in the air. An opportunity to breathe life into new beginnings they had both yearned for. In the quiet solitude of her home, Anna envisioned all the possibilities that lay ahead, yearning to build a future free from the shackles of the past. Her mind drifted to the many discussions they had shared. "Let's meet," she resolved, her determination sparkling as she thought of how they had meticulously gathered intelligence on the dark underbelly of the Colton Empire. More than just a vendetta, her partnership with Lucas could be the cornerstone of a movement that fostered change throughout their communities. Together, they had the potential not just to resist the weighty legacy of the Coltons, but to dismantle the systems of privilege and arrogance built upon it. Later that afternoon, they met at a cozy cafe, their usual haunt filled with the hum of low chatter and the clinking of cups and spoons, providing the perfect backdrop for their budding collaboration. Anna felt a rush of excitement at the prospect of sharing her vision with Lucas. The warmth of friendship wrapped tightly around her as she awaited his arrival. When Lucas entered, his familiar smile lit up the space, a gentle reminder of camaraderie forged in understanding. "You look different," he remarked, sliding into the chair opposite her. "Stronger, maybe?" Anna met his gaze, a spark igniting. "I feel different. It's like a weight has lifted. I know we've spent so long in a fight against the Coltons, but what if our purpose reaches beyond them? I want us to create something impactful, something that inspires others to break their chains." Lucas leaned in, intrigue radiating from him. "You're right, we need to harness this momentum. Together we could build a support network, perhaps a non-profit aimed at empowering those who've been pushed aside by the privileged elite, provide a voice for the voiceless." The excitement danced between them, claiming the air as they exchanged visions of social reform and empowerment, mapping out possibilities that stretched far beyond avenging fulfillment. Anna felt invigorated with every passing moment. This new purpose was fast becoming the compass guiding her forward. Here was a chance to reshape the narrative of her life, to rally against injustice alongside a steadfast ally who understood the complexities of their shared journeys. As they dove deeper into discussions, Anna's heart swelled with hope. Together, they could shift landscapes and redefine societal norms that had marginalized so many. This conversation lit a fire within her, igniting dreams that had long been buried under the weight of anger and despair. "Imagine," she said, her eyes sparkling, "the impact we could make if we started community workshops, giving people the tools they need to empower themselves. We can help reconnect the lost fragments of their identities." With each idea they bounced back and forth, Anna felt a blooming sense of belonging, a network of purpose that spread wide across her heart, a true emergence from the confines of revenge This was not merely an effort to reclaim her life, but a glorious venture illuminating the pathways of others. As Anna and Lucas finalized their plans, she paused, a sudden heaviness rolling in. "But what of the lingering attachments to our pasts?" she asked, her voice softening. "What if I can't fully sever myself from those shadows?" Lucas reached out, resting his hand on hers, a gentle reassurance amidst the uncertainty. "It's natural to feel that way, Anna. Our pasts are interwoven with who we are, but they don't have to dictate our futures. Growth comes from acknowledging those ties while striving for more. Together we'll shape our legacy." His words struck deep within her heart, resonating with clarity. Anna understood that redefining her purpose meant navigating the complexities of her attachment to the Coltons, embracing both the pain and the potential for growth they represented. "You're right," she smiled, her resolve strengthening. "We're ready to see what's next, where this journey will take us." As they departed the cafe, a potent sense of purpose surged within Anna. She was no longer merely a vengeful spirit seeking to counter the contempt of the Coltons, but rather a resilient force dedicated to reshaping societal narratives. Stepping into the daylight, Anna knew she was prepared to face her future, not as the relative of the Coltons, but as a pioneer for change. And though uncertainty loomed ahead, she felt invigorated and empowered, ready to shed the remnants of her past, embracing the possibility of a bright future forged through mutual respect, understanding, and the shared commitment to create a legacy unbound by the weight of class and privilege. As they walked side by side, Anna felt the exhilarating stirrings of hope wafting through the air like a fresh breeze, embracing the journey that lay ahead, all while glancing back for just a moment, contemplating the transformation she had undergone, readying herself for the beautiful complexities waiting to unfold in the chapters yet to come. With their bond forged deep in resistance, Anna stood poised for the next stage of her life, a journey toward empowerment that beckoned her to leave behind not just the chains of her past, but the shadows of a legacy that had long sought to define her. Through all the uncertainties, she was resolute in forming her identity. A new beginning, a new story waiting to be penned. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm golden glow over the city, Anna stood at the edge of her small balcony, taking in the view extended before her. The cool evening air brushed against her skin, a gentle reminder of the journey that had led her to this very moment. A moment rich with possibilities while resonating with the echoes of her past. She closed her eyes, allowing memories to flood in, both painful and transformative. Anna had traversed a treacherous landscape defined by humiliation and disdain, where the laughter of the affluent echoed like haunting specters in her mind. The Coltons had treated her as nothing more than a mere shadow in their extravagant world, shaming her for her place in it. Yet in the crucible of her suffering, something remarkable had emerged, an unwavering strength that had skyrocketed her from the depths of despair to the heights of self-actualization. With every calculated move she had made against the Coltons, each moment of defiance that ignited her sense of empowerment, Anna had unearthed more than just the foundations of revenge. She had discovered fragments of herself, long hidden beneath the weight of their contempt. As she stood there, reveling in her triumphs, she found herself reflecting on the tangled complexities of her journey, a winding path of not just vengeance, but profound metamorphosis. The scars of her past remained etched upon her heart, their presence woven into her identity. Yet, each grievance transformed into an underpinning of resilience. Now, Anna embraced her triumphs, not in a simple conquest over the Coltons, but as a reclaiming of her narrative, a narrative steeped in authenticity, filled with the voices of those she had empowered alongside her. What had begun as a quest for revenge had blossomed into a mission of change, illuminating the lives of others who grappled with feigned superiority, much like she once did. As the world continued to spin outside her balcony, Anna's mind replayed the tension-filled confrontations, the unraveling of lies, and the painful truths that had emerged, each moment laden with moral complexities that hung over her journey like shadows. She marveled at the depth of her transformation, yet wrestled with the haunting question: had the battle truly been worth it? Was revenge the satisfying escape she once envisioned? As she sipped her coffee, the warmth enveloped her as she remembered the pain the Coltons had caused, and the anger that had fueled her drive for retribution. Yes, she had confronted them head-on, walked away triumphant, and emerged as an advocate for the marginalized. But at what cost? The emotion stirred within her. Each time she relived the confrontations with Sophia, Eleanor, and even Richard. Did it still burn as fiercely now? Or had it morphed into a chapter of her past, an experience that shaped her, but no longer defined her? Standing on the precipice of this reflection, Anna recognized the powerful element of choice that lay ahead. The future stretched before her, filled with endless possibilities and the chance to mold her identity into something greater than a mere vessel of revenge. It was a canvas awaiting the brushstrokes of vision she had yet to create, and she stood ready to face it, invigorated by her self-discovery. Yet, the moral complexities loomed large. She found herself pondering not just her life, but the very essence of justice and vengeance. The line between right and wrong, justified anger and misguided retaliation, felt more blurred than ever. She had played the game of revenge and emerged victorious, yet in doing so, would she forever remain entangled in an endless cycle of pain and retribution? And so, as darkness fell over the horizon, Anna faced her final thoughts, a world rich with potential yet shadowed by the question that continued to pulse within her. In the end, who truly wins in a game of vengeance? This question echoed throughout the tapestry of her experiences, compelling her to examine not just her story, but the narratives of all those drawn into similar battles of pride and power. Had her victories served only to fuel more hatred, or could they foster a new chapter, one of healing, understanding, and shared resilience? Anna's heart swelled with the realization that this inquiry transcended her own journey. It beckoned her to the wisdom behind revenge, a reflection on the fallen threads of past grievances and the promising fabric of current triumphs. It posed a challenge to the audience who had supported her through the myriad of emotions, a collective intake of breath, urging reflection long after this chapter had closed. As the last light faded, Anna stood resolute, determined to step forward not in pursuit of vengeance, but in an embrace of a future bright with potential, a future that sparked conversation, transformation, and perhaps most importantly, understanding. And perhaps most importantly, she resolved to etch her mark into this world, not as a defender of titles and grudge, but as a beacon of hope, a reminder that every narrative has the power to pivot, to heal, and to inspire. And in that resolve lingered the truth that transcended the confines of time and place. Perhaps the most profound transformation would come not through vengeance at all, but in the choice to emerge strong, crafting stories driven by empathy rather than hostility. The moment beckoned a closing thought, one that whispered into the twilight of reflection. What will your legacy be when the games of vengeance fade? In the end, who will truly stand victorious? With the light of possibility flickering like a distant star, Anna prepared to step into her future, defined not by the past, but by the new story she would create, forever intertwined with the questions beckoning each of us to embark on our own transformative journeys.